Hello, I'm Aleksandra Borek and I'm a qualitative researcher at the Primary Care Department at the University of Oxford. And this study was funded by the Royal College of General Practitioners, and it focused on locum GPs antibiotic prescribing and their engagement with antibiotic stewardship. So the reason we conducted this study was because in our previous research on antibiotic stewardship in primary care, we found that general practice and CCG professionals sometimes perceived locum GPs to be higher prescribers of antibiotics and their turnover as contributing to higher prescribing in practices. And we found that there's generally very little research on locum GPs. So we had two research questions which we addressed with a mixed methods design. Firstly, we wanted to know how locum GPs antibiotic prescribing compares to other GPs and nurse prescribers. And we extracted data from a national database, primary care database, for conditions that don't often benefit from antibiotics. And we found that locum GPs seem to prescribe 4% more antibiotics for 4 conditions, so cough, sore throat, bronchitis, and mild exacerbations of COPD. We then wanted to understand what influences locum antibiotic prescribing and their own perspectives on engaging with antibiotic stewardship. So we conducted interviews with 19 locums and identified 4 themes. So firstly, antibiotic prescribing, unsurprisingly, was perceived as largely an individual issue or decision based on the clinical judgment and less dependent on the role or practice. However, the data also showed that the factors related to the nature of locum work and the context in which it happens also seem to influence the approach to antibiotic prescribing and stewardship. So these are captured in the following 3 themes. So the nature and patterns of locum work, for example, working across different areas and practices and with different patients. The relationships between practices and locums, so for example, how little communication and feedback there is, especially related to prescribing. And lastly, a sense of professional isolation, so locums being less included in wider professional networks or communication channels. So our findings show that there's some scope for improving antimicrobial stewardship in practices that employ locum GPs and among locum GPs in general. So I'm presenting this in a little bit more detail at the parallel session 4 on Thursday. So I welcome you to join the session and I can answer the questions then. Thank you.